Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super-Fanta-Fi. This being a show where I talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and/or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Orphan Black. A crazy good episode of Orphan Black. This is just so amazing. It's a very... I would go as far as saying maybe Rachel-centric episode. Like, Rachel's been the focus point of many episodes, but I feel like this is like easily one of her biggest like standalone episodes. Obviously, other storylines coincide, but I feel like she was the main focus of this episode. Because, I mean, and this episode was really kind of establishing, like, because for one, it shocked me to find out, like, oh, apparently she's not all been out of shape about her mom dying. Maybe that accumulated to something in the end when you combine everything that kind of happens throughout the episode. But from the very beginning, it seems like, my mom's dead. It's like, oh, you actually know. I thought they would have hidden that from you, but it's like they're being super transparent. Like, well, your mom, she tried to go against us. She was no longer aligned with Neolution's thoughts and, beliefs. She kind of tried to even go as far as killing PT, so... I don't know. But even when Cody was like, your mom, I kind of had to put her down. So it's kind of like, you saw her kind of react a little bit to it. It's like, so it's, like I said, like, things didn't go the direction I thought they would. I thought she'd be a little more pissed because it's like, even though her and her mom had the relationship they had, I thought, she still cared about it. I figured it would be kind of a repeat of the situation with her dad, kind of to a certain extent, because it kind of revolved back around to the videos and things. That's kind of how things played out with her. I mean, that's kind of Rachel's ritual anyway, constantly watching those videos. But now, like, she knew that both at one point found out her dad was still alive, then finding out her mom was alive. And now it's just like, now they are both truly gone. There's no like, oh, they're faking it. It's like, nope, they're gone. So... But a big part of it is like reflecting on who Rachel was in the past, like growing up, knowing exactly who she was, knowing she's a Lita clone, knowing her ID number, knowing, she was the only Lita that was self-aware, and that's what made her special. And that's what this episode is about. And I think it does such a beautiful job because for Rachel, that's always been her core. I'm special. I'm the only clone that was self-aware. I knew about the big picture from the very beginning, so she always felt special. In this one episode, everything is destroyed because, we even find out more of the time she spent with Westmoreland, like when they first actually met face to face. Westmoreland is embracing her and stuff like that, treating her like family. It's like, I always thought of you like my daughter. And, even like Rachel's like, yeah, my mom never really had much faith in me. And Westmoreland was like, don't worry, I have faith in you. I know, I've always known how special you are. She even makes a remark where she's like, yeah, when she was younger, she actually went as far as wanting to asking Leaky, could she call him dad, because like that's all she's ever known. I mean, and it's actually sad. Like it's one of those things where you kind of sympathize with the villain a little bit, because it's like you realize Rachel's only the way she is because of the environment she grew up. If circumstances were different, if she had grown up in at least some kind of normal household, who's to say what kind of person Rachel would have been if she had grown up with her parents? I mean, granted, not all of the leaders had regular, normal families and upbringings and stuff like that because of the whole, like, experimenting of, like, oh, see where you end up and being monitored and stuff like that. See, nature versus nurture type of situation of studying them and everything. But still, given the fact is her parents who they were, it seems like they would have been caring parents. Granted, they've, at least, especially when it came to Susan distanced herself from Rachel for the sake of the whole experiment and everything. So it does, there was some love in there. Yes, it became very distorted over time, and Neolution and stuff got in the way, at least when it came to Susan and everything. So it's just one of those things, like, you do feel bad for her, but at the same time, like I said, it's like her entire world came crashing down, because we also saw like a scene where it was like from the past, like Westmoreland's giving her a contract. It's like, oh, you signed this, you're completely free, you're no longer just your ID number, you are just Rachel Duncan, pure and simple, you're not part of this, you're free. But then she looks at a computer screen that has her file, and it's like, oh, lo and behold, there's that ID number that basically at the end of it all, with all these promises and everything, she is nothing more than still property to them. And it's like, because she always felt special, she always felt superior. That's why she has that high and mighty attitude, because like from the very beginning, I always knew who I was, I'm better than all of you. And now at the end of the day, it's like you are just another piece on this puzzle, on this chessboard. You're just any other piece, going as far as saying you're a pawn like every other leader in this whole situation. So it's sad. I mean, especially when we kind of flip back and forth, like, between like Cody kind of running tests on her and Leaky running tests on her, dealing with the whole like, oh, possibly being sick thing and her reaction to it, because it's like Leaky won't even let her get her own file, which is like, I'm supposed to be the most aware of us, but you won't even let me study myself to like an illness that could easily come to me because it's already hit 2 other leaders, so you won't even let me examine it, even though I'm smart and everything, because it's like yeah, you're free from all of this and everything, but it's like even then she's still a puppet, she's still a pawn in all of it, to the point she actually kills one of the clones that's suffering from it, just because like, who cares? She had a crappy situation, she was dying, her mom was a alcoholic or something like that. It's like, she didn't have a family or whatever, and so it's like, for Leaky, he kind of got attached to all the leaders and stuff like that, so to him it's like, oh my god, how can you do this? She had this, she was this personality and this and that, showing that twisted side of him that kind of cares. It's kind of, Leaky's situation always being the way it was always interesting, but her being so cold and calculated, he's like, the fact of the matter is, he's like, almost like, who are you? Because it's like, Rachel isn't like any leader, because the fact of the matter is, she killed one of her sisters like it was nothing. It's just like, you had to experiment on her to find out, what it was, this illness, because to her that was the only means of doing this. She's like, I was raised to be calm, cool, and collected, to not choose sides, not to be biased, to just be of a sound mind with any decision she makes. But it's like, to you, like, it shows you that she's a byproduct of her environment, growing up the way she did. It made her cold as she is, to the point she pushes people away. And there's even a sweet moment where Kira's kind of like, who hurt you? Are you okay? Because she's seeing that, like, Rachel is falling apart. From the very beginning, she kind of gave Rachel the benefit of the doubt, because she's able to tap in, as we know, like, with the other leaders, and feel and understand them better than anyone else. Like, even, she probably understands Rachel better than Rachel understands herself. So she was like, who hurt you? And then Rachel was like, everyone. And it's like, almost like, you can see it to almost a certain degree. It's almost like Rachel kind of wanted to go through with this, because it's almost like, at least is how I'm looking at it. There was parts of Rachel that's just like, no, let's go through with it. Because there's, I think on some level, there might be some part of her that's like wanted to spite Kira, because it's like, you grow up the way I did, but there's also that side of her that's like, no, I don't want you to grow up like I did. Like, I'm smack dab in the middle of all of this. Like, I'm the way I am now because of everything that happened to me. I thought I was special. At the end of the day, I'm not. And you, Kira, are special, and I don't want that tampered with. Like I said, like, from the very beginning, like, she has had, like, she's grown accustomed to Kira. Even Westmoreland pointed out, he's like, are you, like, getting attached? She's like, that's not going to interfere with what needs to be done. It's like, we'll do what needs to be done. And it's like, and that goes back to the fact is, she knows exactly what's going down and everything. She was completely okay with it. But then, her eyes kind of finally open to see, like, the mistakes she's been making this entire time. Even to the point, adding more fuel to the fire, as she finds out that whole eye situation is, Westmoreland's been able to keep an eye on her ever since. Because that was never something that really ever, it's like, oh, you thought he was just showing you something. Like, so, which brings into question something like, was that whole situation with her eye something Susan already set in motion? Was that what its plan was from the very beginning? Or is it something that Westmoreland, like, had some people hack into? I feel like it might have been there very from the beginning, the reason why she was able to see all that stuff. But it's like, was that always the purpose of it? Or did Westmoreland take action to its own hands with that? I feel like, I don't know. It might be a combination of the two. So, it's always probably been that purpose, but it hasn't really shown itself in that sense anymore, because he no longer needed to show her anything. She was on his side wholeheartedly and everything. But now it's like, she realizes she was being surveilled. So it's like the whole monitoring situation. It's like, you feign independence, like making her feel like she was special, like she was outside the whole system, that, oh, look at all these poor idiotic elitists not knowing anything, being a part of this little petri dish. It's like, no, I might have been born from that and everything, but I'm outside the situation. But it's like, you now look in that you are in a petri dish, looking at them inside of a petri dish, that you're just as much of the experiment, the mouse chasing after the cheese. A better way to put that was like a mouse watching other mice chase after the cheese, thinking they're better. Like, I've already got my cheese right here, not realizing your cheese is part of the whole experiment too. That's one, I know that's super confusing the way I phrase it like that, but I don't know, that was just kind of like a devastating thing. You see it affect her. She's like drinking, even to the point Westmoreland's calling like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Yeah, you're spying on me." She's like, "Yeah, why wouldn't I be?" He's trying to not let on oh yeah, I just had a feeling and everything. So I was like, dude, it just, I don't know. Like I said, I brought it up earlier. I don't know if her mom's death actually influenced that or not. Did she hate her mom right from the beginning? It's like I don't think so. Like, even to the bitter end, I think there's some part of her that still loved her mom, that cared about her, and that I want to believe that on some level that affected her whole situation of like what she did in the end, helping Kira and everything, calling Art and getting Ass and Sarah there, and they come get Kira, and even S is like mouths the word thank you at the end, because Rachel did the right thing this time. It's like, because she wasn't about to let Kira go through what she did, because like there's one moment she's looking up and she sees herself as a little girl, and she's like, why don't you run? And then her younger self responds like, where would I go? Because outside of this she had nothing. Her parents were gone, and so all she had was Dyad. So what was beyond that for her, That's why she also latched onto Neolution so much, because it made her feel like, it made her feel more of that, like, yes, I'm special, I'm important, someone needs me, this is some grand purpose, like some grand mission that I'm supposed to be on. But at the end of the day, it's just like, you're kind of just as lost as everyone else. And I mean, that's sad. Like, she's lost, She's never had anyone to really, truly be there for her, There are people who feign like they're there for her, but it's just like, she's just an experiment to them, nothing more, So Kira has people who like actually love her and miss her, and it's like, for Rachel, I'm sure it probably comes across her mind like, who would actually miss me if I'm gone? My parents wouldn't, because they're already gone. So who is there to really love me, So I guess the only person left in this war that would is Ferdinand. So I wonder, will this kind of lead to that? It might lead to her going back to Ferdinand and be like, hey, let's burn it all down. The situation kind of went in the same direction I thought it would, but not necessarily. I still wonder, will it end with her being the one to take down Westmoreland? Will it be someone else? I mean, it might have been a situation of them actually killing Westmoreland. It might be something else that kind of lays out, that kind of kills him. At the end of the day, I still kind of in my back of my mind, I'm like, either it's going to be Rachel or it's going to be Mud. I feel like out of any one of them, they should be the ones that kind of deal with it, It might be Sarah too, but it's like, mainly in my head, it's either Rachel or Mud. So, but even going to that hardcore final scene too of her cutting her own eye out, dude, I was like, I felt like, I thought she was going to do it sooner, but she just covered her eye up with the eye patch. But it's like breaking that glass and just scooping her eye for it and then severing it, and there's blood everywhere. I'm like, ugh. If you don't know this about me, which I think I've brought it up before and stuff, I can't handle eye stuff. Eye stuff is kind of like, it's, from a television point of view, it's like, it's cool in a gross way, but at the same time, it's just one of those things that make my skin crawl. Go, ugh. It kind of bothers me. I can't handle eye stuff. But that was pretty brutal. But I wonder, will this be her going like, hey, Ferdinand, even with everything that kind of went down, like, because Ferdinand's probably one of the few people, but even then, I don't know, it makes you wonder, did Ferdinand ever really see her, or did he just see like that bossy personality of her? Did he only used her for what he wanted from her, like her to beat him up and stuff like that? But at the same time, there's a part of you that kind of goes, I think legitimately he loved Rachel. So, I mean, we'll see whether anything will come of that or not, or what Rachel's next move is going to be, because Westmoreland knows she's turned against them, and now, the rest of, Dyad's going to know that too. Because the question this episode too was like, not everyone that's connected to this, that includes Van Cleer and the board, that Rachel spoke with. It's like about this whole Neolution thing. It's like, they believe about this whole Westmoreland thing, which another thing too is like, apparently Rachel figured it out. But I think just because she was so caught up in the grand scheme of things of feeling like she had a purpose, that she was important, I think she she's smart, so she probably realized from the beginning, yeah, he's lying about this whole situation. I mean, because the whole reason why he wanted Kira on the island too is like, because he needs his cure nearby. It's like, no. Oh yeah, we know about the gene and everything. It's like, yeah, we'll worry about that later on, helping everyone. Oh yeah, that's fine and dandy. I need her nearby so we can experiment on her and test it on me immediately before I die. So that's the main reason and everything. So, and also combined with Cody, and the fact of the matter is, who's to say what else they do to Kira? They dissect her just as easily, if it meant, because all they would need to do is keep her in decent condition. Like, it doesn't matter if she's a little girl. We already saw what they did to Giannis. It's like, there's no telling what leaps and bounds they would make just to make this happen with, like, get that gene from Kira, especially because Westmoreland's running out of time, because he has even less more time. That makes him just even more so desperate, and it makes Cody even that much more deadly too, because she'll be willing to do whatever it takes anyway. So, but getting back to the point I was trying to make is, it seems like she knew a little sooner. I'm wondering, was it like soon that she figured it out, or was it like within this episode she ended up figuring it out? But the whole point is to let the other people amongst Neolution know the truth about him. So she sends an email later on, but that was kind of the whole bit plan, because it's like he'll no longer have the backing he has without them, because they'll back away from him because they actually believe in the whole life. But at the end of the day, you also have to wonder, will that not matter? Because at the end of the day, if what is inside of Kira is true, then who cares? As long as the ends justify, as long as they get what they need to in the end, this kind of immortality or regeneration gene or whatever it is, as long as they can get access to it, will they even care that Westmoreland lied? Which we did find out his real identity. It's John Patrick Matheson, mainly because Cosima came back with Charlotte. It's good to have her back too. Both of them off that island with all that craziness, which was kind of a surprise to me too, because it's like the moment like Rachel got there, I was like, things are pretty damn calm here. I thought that's kind of interesting, because it's like last time we saw everything was on fire. It's like, where's all the rebellious people? Were they locked up or shot or what? There were some people there helping Rachel go forward. So it's like, what happened? Did Westmoreland sweet talk them or what? I feel like after everything, maybe he did. Maybe it was like, oh, they're lying to you. They're manipulating you. Oh, don't listen to Cosima. I'm curious, because everything calmed down. So, because when Rachel showed up, it's just normal. I guess that was kind of to keep up the appearance that everything's in order, so it wouldn't spark anything in Rachel. I don't know. That was just kind of interesting to me. And that's the thing too, is like, where does Mud sit in all this? Because Mud now 100% knows the truth because she saw the photo. So I'm curious. We didn't get any look at where she is in this whole situation. So I'm curious to find out like more about where she as well as the other people are. Maybe next episode we'll kind of get a flash back to it to kind of see their whole circumstances. But I don't know. Hopefully, it might be a circumstance where Westmoreland's like, okay, you guys are too much trouble. I can't have you out there spreading this about me and everything. So all of you have to die or something like that. Or, maybe he'll keep Mud around because he thinks Mud still believes in him and is loyal because she's feigning it. Like I said, we'll have to wait and see. But this episode had other big surprises too. Like, for one, Cody gets a visitor. Lo and behold, Mark. I've been asking about you, Mark, and lo and behold, here you go. It's like, I was like wondering who it was going to be, and lo and behold, it's Mark. Apparently he's been working with Cody, which begs the question, because the thing is, like, how did Cody get out of that place? It's like, she had some help. Who was it? So it seems like it was Mark, mainly because it was in exchange for a cure, because and it also turns out that Mark is in fact the last one, because at the same time, it's like Tracy will never look at him the same way, because she's always looking for signs to see whether he's glitched or not. So it's kind of all or nothing with him. There's no more danger of the Castor gene because he is the last one, which she did get like samples from him, ejaculation samples, which contained a virus. That's why Mark was kind of like, that wasn't part of the deal, because like, she could still take that. She could study it, sure, but she could also still take that semen and use it and weaponize it, because the virus that runs through them is still there. So that has to be sad on some part too, to find out like, yeah, you are the last of your brothers and everything. He didn't get along with the Castors and everything, but still. It's also interesting too, because he even asked her, like, how did you choose between me and Ira? And it turns out Ira is 100% dead. I figured as much, but I was part of me was kind of hoping, but it's like, nah. It's like, oh, how did you pick? She was like, honestly, she just drew straws, which is kind of messed up to say. Like, even though she claims to be mother to them and everything, like, almost like she cared about them and stuff like that. It's, because that's a thing between her and Susan. Like, you got different approaches to this whole situation, but at the same time, it's like, can you really say that you care about the leaders and stuff like that? That she even cared about the Castors? Because all they were experiments to you. Like, you want to give Susan a benefit of the doubt, but there's plenty of things that kind of make you think, no, you're just as selfish as Cody. Maybe you didn't cross as many lines, but you wanted stuff just as much as she did. So that's just the difference. I feel like Cody might be I don't know. I want to give Susan benefit of the doubt, just be like, she's not as evil as Cody, but who's to say she just wasn't willing to go as far as Cody was to get what she wanted. So now he's helping her out with the whole like tracking down Helena situation, which is like, how does he know where Helena is for one? I mean, what we saw was like Helena's turning around at the convent she's at, and lo and behold, there's Gracie. She's like, what are you doing here? And that was it. So either Gracie's there because, well, how would Gracie know? I mean, maybe she's connected to the convent, or at the very least she knew that, or maybe at some point Helena shared with Gracie that whole situation. I don't know. But there's that. So it's like, part of me is wondering, it's Mark playing her? Or is he really helping her? I mean, because he is scared, of dying, because he wants to live long enough to be with Gracie forever. I mean, for as long as possible. So, I don't know. I'm hoping that they're playing her, but, I mean, we won't really know until till later on, hopefully in the next episode or so. Because not only is Kira the target, so is Helena's babies, because they're just as special as Kira is. So now there are 3 that they can experiment on, both Kira as well as the twins inside of Helena. So it easily puts a target on her back, especially for Cody. So, but like I said, at the same time, it's like, how would they know exactly where Helena was for him to say that? So because the thing is, too, let's not forget how Gracie and them left off. It was like, oh yeah, it was actually Gracie who sold them out for Mark. We'll see, what comes of that situation. I'm very interested. Like, I'm hoping on everything Mark is betraying her, but for him at the same time, it's like there's a lot on the line for him too. And let's not forget this whole situation of like, never really been that worried about saving the casters. I mean, will it make a difference because it is Mark and he is the last one of the casters? So, not unless Cody's lying. I mean, there's always a possibility Cody could be trying. I mean, there's no recreating them now that, like, Kendall's gone. Like, there's no making any more Litas to a certain extent. Like, there's, like, her DNA. Well, now that Kira's in that whole mix, there's still the possibility. I mean, is it possible to... Well, I'm taking that back because I'm such an idiot, because that's the whole point, because they're literally starting it all up again with Kira. So there is the possibility of bringing back the caster gene, which I'm sure that's what Cody's doing this all about. It's like, oh, we can get more and more soldiers, sell to the government, make a boatload of money. She's just kind of just an evil, crazy mad scientist. So I'm very interested to see where that goes. But also there's a less, dramatic side of this episode where we tap into this whole situation with Allison's back in the picture. She's back home and everything. Yay, Allison. Oh, what's this? You got your hair is different. You've got a tattoo that says "Live Deep" and everything, and it's like, oh, you kind of got like a new mindset and everything. And Donnie's kind of like, I don't know how to feel about this. It's like, I'm glad to have you back, honey, and everything, but it's like you're different. Even to the point she's throwing out some of her or giving away some of her craft stuff, and he's like, are you sure about this? She's basically taking everything away that kind of represented who she was before, because she was very stuck in her own ways, very stubborn and very like particular about everything being in one particular way, and she's trying to be more of a free spirit, just kind of letting that dark side out to kind of help you find out who you really are, is kind of like her whole kind of new mantra and everything. Getting a keyboard and everything, and Donnie's like, oh, should I get the bass? Or no, should I get the drum? And she's like, no, Donnie, you should do whatever you want to do. I won't boss you around anymore. He's like, really? And he's just like, huh. But I think there's a part of Donnie that's like, I don't like that. I want you to boss me around. That's her thing, baby. It's like, it's their thing. She's always kind of been the boss in this situation. And, I don't know. Like, we got a quick look at it, so maybe in the next episode or so, we'll kind of get more into that situation. But it's like, I'm sure, like, quickly Donnie will be like, I want my wife back. I want Allison back. Because this whole thing has been, Allison doesn't know who she is inside and outside of this whole circumstances. The previous situation kind of pushed her over the edge, and now, she's trying to change. It seems like she's just trying to do a complete 180 because she doesn't know who she is, and now she's thinking this is a better way of, At the same time, it doesn't seem like it is. It seems like you're trying to become someone else. It's not like, it seems like you're not even being Allison anymore, You are you for a reason because, and, Donnie's with you because of that person you are, like, Yes, there's a whole monitor situation and everything that's kind of, gotten a little sticky. But even through it all, you guys have, you were still together because you guys are you're a family. The Allison he's known always is the one he loves. So, I mean, granted, there might be the situation of like, oh, this Allison's awesome, but I mean, who knows how long they'll stick around. I'm very interested to find out how the others feel about new Allison, because they haven't had a chance to meet her. I mean, granted, we don't know what kind of conversations went down. Most of it was serious because it was all dealing with Kira. So, I mean, like I said, overall, a very fantastic episode. Super, super good. And I'm so eager to watch especially next week's episode for multiple reasons. Normally I don't watch previews. Like the moment they come up, I'm like, I'll walk away and everything. I've kind of gone into depth about that. But this week's preview was very interesting in the sense they didn't show anything. They're like, yo, next week's episode is going to be so freaking crazy. We're not showing you a damn thing. I'm like, okay, I'm already hooked anyway. You don't have to like kind of try and pull me in. You already got me. So, but that was just so interesting. Like, I've never really seen a show do that before. So I was like, dude, that's pretty sick. So I'm very interested. I mean, let's not forget, on top of that, this means there are only 3 episodes left. The end game is coming. And I'm so excited, at the same time I'm sad, but more so excited to see how this story plays out, where we go from here. What is, in fact, the end game? But really, that's all I want to talk about in this episode. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.